today I drove down from the Lake District down to Snowdon, and the plan was to hop in the train that'll take me to the top of Snowdon. But the weather has been atrocious. We got a blanket of cloud right across Wales and it's quite low. The train has only taken one trip today, and that was earlier this morning, and evidently it only went halfway up the hill before it just came down. Visibility is pretty much zero up there. So when I got here, they cancelled the trip that I was going to go on. It's a real shame. I would have loved to have gone up the top of Snowdon. So the weather conditions is going to make landscape photography pretty challenging today. It's still raining. The cloud is still low. It's very, very gloomy. So I'm going to spend the next couple of hours just exploring the area and see whether I can find something worth capturing. I'm not too sure. If I do, I'll get back to you. I've had a bit of a drive around, and I must admit I'm getting a little bit desperate for an image. I've just parked on the side of the road and I can see the valley leading up to Little Ogwen. The line's created by the stone walls, and then every now and then there's a little farm shed or a farmhouse. Makes for an interesting image, hopefully. It's just, I wish it would stop raining. The problem is that it fades off into the distance because of the amount of rain that's falling. The clouds are still quite low. And as I said, I'm pretty desperate here, but I want to get an image. I want to capture something of Wales. The other issue that I have is the second I take my camera out of the car, it just gets pounded by the rain. So I'm going to have to protect the front of the lens. I'm probably going to hand hold the shot, so I'll work out in terms of the light within the car, and then just get out, take the shot, and get back in the car before I get too wet. This is not how you're meant to do landscape photography, by the way. This is certainly not a tutorial. You are not learning anything from me today. Anyway, I'll set up for this shot and then hopefully show you. I'll be back soon. So I've taken the shot. Not only is it incredibly wet out there, it's also incredibly windy, which I didn't actually realise until I got out of the car. So the rain is almost coming in horizontally. My approach was pointing the camera out the window to gauge the light. I worked out my settings on my camera, then I got out, took a couple of shots, came back in, had a look, checked the images, cleaned the front of the lens, and then went out there again, slightly adjusting the settings, and took another couple of shots. In the end, because I'm hand holding the camera, it's not on a tripod, because it would just be too difficult in these conditions, I needed a fairly quick shutter speed. So I've got a 1/400 of a second. To achieve that, on ISO 100, my f-stop is 6.3, and I think that's worked out quite nicely. The weather is not getting any better. In fact, it's getting slightly worse. It's heavier rain, lower cloud, and higher winds. It's terrible conditions for landscape photography. And one of the things that I was meant to be doing today is catching up with a fellow YouTuber, Paul Johnson. And unfortunately, because of the weather, we've had to cancel our collaboration. Well, we won't be able to go ahead. It's really disappointing, but that's just the way it goes. Shout out though to Paul. Thanks very much, mate, for all your help. And if you're not aware of Paul's channel, then you should be. I'll link his channel below in the description. In my desperation to find an image today, I scattered around and found the lone tree at Llyn Pedarn. It's a famous image. There's lots of photographers who have taken that shot, and it's reasonably easy to find and access, but the weather is against me. It's so windy and so wet that I just wasn't able to get out there. So I thought that was where I was going to have to leave the vlog, because I just wasn't able to find another image. But on my way back, I walked through some wooded area with some trees and some moss, and I think I might have found a spot where hopefully I can get an image. Because I'm in amongst the trees, I'm a little bit protected from the wind. It's still very wet there, but I'm going to give it a go. These are not ideal conditions, but you shoot with the conditions that you're given, not the conditions that you hope for. I'm only in Wales for one night, so this is my only chance, and I haven't got a woodlands shot. So I'm going to grab the camera, get out amongst this weather, see if I can capture an image. Okay, I better make this quick because it is really, really wet. In this little patch of woods and bush, there are these trees that are growing around this body of water. Their branches are twisted and mangled, creating great shapes. There's also this moss, this yellow-green, vibrant moss that's growing on the branches that really make them pop. So I've got the camera really, really low to the water. On the left-hand side here, I've got a little fern that's growing. That's going to be on the 1/3 on the left-hand side. Then I've got these groups of branches and trees growing out of the water in the distance there. It really is quite a nice scene. Hopefully though, I can capture it. As you can see, I've got the shower cap, that's protecting it. I've got the polarizer on there because there's lots of glare coming off the surface of the water. The branches, the leaves, anything that's wet, there's going to be glare. So the polarizer's on there. And I've got the 0.9 soft grad because there's more light in the sky than the foreground. So if I darken the sky down, I can brighten up the foreground and get that detail that I want out of the water and the shadows in amongst the roots and the lower branches. I'm not going to mess around any longer because everything is getting drenched, including me, the vlogging camera, and my D800. So I'm going to take this shot and then get out of here. Hopefully that's worked. I managed to get that image. And with a bit of luck, there's no droplets on the lens. I tried very hard to keep that dry. The great thing is that the Nikon D800 is waterproof, so it can take some water drops and a little bit of moisture. The problem that I have is the vlogging camera isn't, so I'm hoping that this vlog has turned out. I apologise if it hasn't been ideal, but my excuse is the conditions certainly haven't been ideal. I don't think I've shot in worse conditions than this. The take home is get out and shoot in whatever conditions you've got. Don't wait for what you think might be ideal conditions, because it just decreases the opportunity of getting out in the outdoors and taking landscape photos. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy this sort of content and you want to see more of my landscape adventures, then please consider subscribing. And if you do, make sure you hit that bell so that you're notified when I upload my next video. Until then, from Snowdon, thanks very much for watching.